Interesting and interactive day with the several panels that we had, from discussing the status of women's political participation to having a conversation with women who have walked the talk, sharing their experiences, having run for elections in this country previously, but also an interesting panel with our legislative bodies to talk about the legal mechanisms that exist to support women in politics, but also looking at what other mechanisms do we need to put in place to strengthen women's political participation and representation, but importantly as well, implementing the already existing laws that we have. So it was a very good day of interaction. We didn't have quite a lot of exchanges with the participants. We apologize for that because of the late start yesterday. But for today, we're hoping to be able to create some time to get the interactions with the different participants. Allow me to recognize the presence of Imam Essa, President of the Supreme Islamic Council, but also allow me to recognize the presence of distinguished party leaders and representatives that are present here this morning. As we all agreed, as per the program, we're going to have the party leaders panel this morning, and everybody has been excited. Looking forward to it. We're hoping to have a very interactive, honest and frank conversation, putting party leaders to task as women on how we see them supporting us in the upcoming electoral cycle. So welcome to all of you. Please give a round of applause to the party leaders and representatives that are here this morning. Thank you. Just a bit of housekeeping. As was yesterday, the same day today, we're having simultaneous translation into 4 local languages. If you're having the headsets, to remind you, we have Fula on line 1, we have Mandinka on line 2, we have Jola on line 3, and we have Wolof on line 4. I repeat, we have Fula on line 1, we have Mandinka on line 2, we have Jola on line 3, and we have Wolof on line 4. And any of our panelists is free to speak in any of these languages to ensure that we have inclusivity. We also have a sign language interpreter who's also there to interpret to those in the room that need that services. Without wasting much time, allow me now to invite the moderator for this session. We could not have chosen a better person, my auntie and dear friend, Mrs. Dr. Fatou Jain Senghor, founder, Center for Women's Rights and Leadership, who will be moderating the session with the party leaders on driving change and bringing action. Madam Fatou, you're welcome.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the National Conference on Women Political Participation and Representation in the Gambia. As Jaiteh mentioned yesterday, we talk about the frameworks, the legal, institutional, but importantly, I think also we really reflected quite a lot on the obstacles, why things are not working in terms of representation, why we are not getting the right laws to ensure that we have equal representation. Why is it that whenever we talk about women representation, we bring back culture, religion? We are faced with all these obstacles. Why is it so that despite the fact that political parties committed to have somehow quotas, some made commitments formally, but we are not moving. So So today, we will of course talk about what the political parties are doing, but importantly today is a day of action and also a day to put in place a mechanism for accountability. When I say accountability, people have been committing themselves for many years to supporting either within the National Assembly, either within their own political parties. But when it comes to moving forward, we have blockage, we have obstacles, and we want to unpack those obstacles so that together we can construct and build a better Gambia, a Gambia where everyone will feel that they are part of it, an inclusive Gambia where women don't feel that, when we talk about women's rights, it's just a lip service and they are on the sidelines. And also, we have also to bring to the fore, and yesterday, during our many discussions, we talked about the fact that women will do the heavy lifting, they are the mobilizers, they support men, they do quite a lot in the parties. But I want also maybe to bring us back that when there are crises, women are there. We all know what happened in this country in the past. Women will mobilize, women will work together to ensure that with their counterparts, they work together to maintain peace and security, to also push for democracy and human rights, to ensure that everybody is safe, everybody is included. But when it comes to now, the affairs of the state, managing institutions, we find a lot of excuses. They are not that much qualified. We hear quite a lot of that. Sometimes we hear also that, you have all these women who are educated, but they don't want to be involved in politics. And we want to, bring that to your attention that the women of the Gambia have been not waiting, they have been at the forefront in many areas. And as we prepare for the next cycle, we would like to see all these commitments, all these battle plans be realized, and that when we talk about 2026, 2027, and 2028, it is the presidential, the parliamentarian, and the local government. Yesterday we talked about quite a lot of the parliamentarian, and we forget about local government election, which is very important because it's closer to the community, and it's where also women need to be present and to be represented. So today we will have the high-level panel of political parties. As you will see in your brochure, the way they are selected is quite explanatory. I will call them as they are listed in this brochure. Come join me for this important conversation. What we would want is to tell us what their plans are in terms of women representation, if they have it already, what are the obstacles, but importantly also how can they work together with all of us to overcome those challenges. So it's my pleasure to call Honorable Essa, party leader of the APP Sobeyaa, to join us in this panel. I'd like also to call on Kandeh or his representative, party leader of GDC, to join us. Representative of His Excellency President Adama Barrow, leader of the NPP. Representative of Honorable Lamin J, Darboe, party leader of NUP. Honorable Halifa Sallah, party leader, PDOIS. And a representative of His Excellency Ousainou, Darboe, party leader of the UAP. I'm avoiding the woman to sit at the edge. Seedy, can you be there? Sorry for that. Yeah. Thank you. So, again, so we have an hour and a half. We'll try to really have this session as interactive as possible. So I'll start with Honorable Faal, just to give us in 2 minutes what your party is doing in terms of representation. You have a voter system in your constitution, in your manifesto, and how is it materializing in your executive?
I first of all would like to excuse me, I'm suffering from a cold. Excuse me, let me just... I beg your pardon. I must be suffering from a lot of fatigue. I drove all the way from Farafenye last night just to be able to make it to this important dialogue, this important conference. I could not have missed it for anything, simply because we think that this is so important, it deserves the attention of all political party leaders and all the presidential aspirants for that matter. And I thought, I think, first of all, our commitments should not just be empty rhetoric. It has to be backed by our actions. And that is why I am present here today. In terms of APP Sobeya's plan, we had, since 2021, indicated that our party has a principled decision to have a cabinet of 50-50 if we are elected into office. 50% women, 50% men. And not only that, we also have a commitment to have a cabinet of 50% youths and 50% middle-aged and above. And the reason for that is we want to ensure inclusiveness. I have been privileged to be in a meeting in which party leaders could not really address directly the issues that affected youths and women. And I thought that if the youths and the women were represented there, were seated at the table, they would be better able to address their own issues. Let's talk about the issues of bandwidths and megabytes and so on. Do you think, okay, we'll come to those things. I'll leave it at that. But as a policy for our party, we want to have a very balanced government in which the women are as equally represented as the men, and the youths are as equally represented as them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Faal. So you mentioned the intention, which I think is very great. What I just want to be clarifying, do you have it already in the constitution of the party and in the manifesto? What is the plan?
It is in our revised manifesto. In 2021, it was a policy decision, but now it is firmly in our manifesto. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now let me move to GDC. The same question. You start with 2 minutes. Tell us what you have in the party's constitution and in the manifesto, and how is it materializing in the executive.
Good morning, everybody here. First, I want to recognize the presence of party leaders and their representatives, as well as attendees. And at the same time, congratulate IDEA and other stakeholders in organizing this national conference for women participation and representation in the Gambian political landscape. According to your question, I think the GDC in 2017, during inception, has included in our constitution, a code of conduct that sort of includes women, gender, inclusion in all aspects. So this is what brings us to recognize that women plays a pivotal role in national development. Therefore, we cannot leave them out. And in fact, we had a Congress entirely shouldered by women where they elected their own representatives. I think I stop here for the time.
Thank you. I'd like now to move to NPP, Mr. Seedy Ceesay. Could you tell us concretely if the presidential party has a quota system in the constitution and in the manifesto, and how is it materializing in real life?
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all the participants who have taken their time from yesterday to today. Also want to welcome my fellow panelists on this panel here. This shows that each of the political parties in this country are very serious. Because if you put the agenda of women on your platform, it means you're a serious political party. So for political parties who do not take the agenda of women, I consider it not to be serious. For the National People's Party, as young as we have a Secretary General and a leader who actually always pioneer leaders or women leaders in politics. Yes, we are the sitting government. We have to measure what our government is doing for women. But as a party, the National People's Party's manifesto of 2021 unfortunately did not have a quota system. We are working on developing a new manifesto that will make commitments where we'll have a quota system as far as the National People's Party is concerned.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ceesay.
Yes.
Participation in what? That is the key question. You don't invite people who stood for presidential election and regulate them in this manner so that they speak about their party and not about the country. The fundamental question, and I'll answer in 2 minutes what she asked, is we need women participation. We believe that participation is not about privilege, it's about service to people and country. And this is where we miss the boat, because everybody is focused on positions rather than service. For Joy, we see the importance of serving country and people and preparing people to be selfless in their service. And therefore we do have quota systems. Fundamentally, every region has one male, one female, equal in representation in the Central Committee. In congresses, all wards have one male, one female. We're supposed to have Congress on the 27, 28. Every ward, one male, one female, gender parity. We have emphasized in elections that 50-50. We have established pass resolutions in our party. Not only that, we've emphasized that in terms of participation, all the people who are less than 35 must have 50% representation as candidates in elections. Fundamentally, may I conclude, in our party, leaders do not select candidates. Candidates are selected by members in wards for councils, in constituency for National Assembly members, and as a nation as a whole, they can select anybody to be a presidential candidate, even if you are not a so-called party leader or secretary general. That does not exist in our party.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sallah. Now I would like to give the floor to UDP, presented by Kumba Jaiteh. Yesterday you alluded to some of the provision in your, but maybe to shorten it, you can just tell the audience what UDP has in terms of women representation. And how is it materializing also in the executive?
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here in this very distinguished panel. It's an honor to represent my party leader, His Excellency, Honorable Lawyer Ousainou Darboe, and also a huge thank you to Deputy Party Leader for giving me the opportunity to represent Party Leader on this very important discussion. Yesterday I stated that the UDP in 2018 passed a resolution to amend the Constitution to allow for 30%, at least 30% representation, female representation in the executive. And we talking about just not making commitment for mere rhetorics. The UDP did not just talk the talk, we walked the walk. Yesterday I gave the numbers. Out of 37 elected, emphasis added, executive members, 16 out of those were women, making 43% of the elected members of the National Executive are women. The nominated members of the National Executive are 11. 7 out of this are women, 63.6%. The entire composition of women in the National Executive is 35%. So we have even gone above the at least 30%, and we will continue to strive to increase these numbers. So how it reflects in the National Executive, the National Assembly, these are the list of the female members of the National Executive. The National President, female, second Deputy National President, Deputy Party Leader, Deputy Senior Administrative Secretary, which is myself, Deputy Admin Secretary Finance, Admin Secretary Social and Fundraising, National Women Wing President, National Women Wing Deputy President, First Deputy President, National Women's Wing Second Deputy President, the Secretary General of the Women's Wing, National Female Youth President, the First Deputy of the Youth Wing, the Second Deputy of the Youth Wing, the Secretary General of the Youth Wing, Deputy National Organizing Secretary, Deputy Campaign Manager, and 7 nominated members. These are the people we have on the executive as female representatives on the National Executive. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Representing Honorable Lamin J, Party Leader of Mboob. Can you tell us what your party has in terms of representation?
Good morning, everybody. I thank IIM for this conference, and I forgive the moderator for forgetting the NUP, but it's human. We have in our party, when we were forming the party, we are cognizant of the fact that women need to be, included in politics, and that's why we crafted in our constitution that 30% of our members should be women, not less than 30%. And in order to practicalize this, not only to be theoretical, our deputy party leader was a woman, since inception. So that shows that we are ready to practicalize the theory, not only put it in the constitution, but to make it work. Thank you.
Thank you, and apologies again. So maybe starting with Kumba and Seedy, why is it that despite all those efforts, why is it that we don't have women, in the parliament? We know that you have all these people in your executive, but when it comes to elected position, they are not elected, or they are not supported, to be candidate either for local government or for parliament. Why is it that we don't have enough representation? You have to go first, and then Ceedy, I'll come to you for a specific question because you are in the executive.
Thank you, Atifata. That's a good question. Yesterday I stated that during the last parliamentary elections, the United Democratic Party nominated 16 candidates for National Assembly. Unfortunately, only one made it to Parliament, that is Honourable Member for Sanimentary, Honourable Member Fat Chan. And why that has happened, I think yesterday we discussed some of the issues regarding the cultural barriers, the lack of financing for women, the lack of support. I think these are the issues that contribute, and the lack of awareness as well. Not only cultural but religious barriers, but some people just don't feel that women should be in leadership position. And if they are in competition with men, they would rather vote for the man than the woman, not because the man is better in any way, but because in their minds they believe men should be leaders in particular religions. So I think based on the topic we are discussing, the topic has highlighted 3 important issues. What should be the leadership pipelines, what should be the financial measures we take, and how do we create a space through quota systems. Something very important that I learned from yesterday's discussion was nominating women, not just creating a space for them by reserved seats, like what is being proposed in the bill that the Gender Committee led by Honorable Tuma is pushing for. But also someone mentioned that nominating women for safe seats, that resonated very well with me. I'll just give an example of my case as well. I think there was a safe seat that I could have easily had and went back to Parliament, but we took the chance with the seat of Serekunda and I didn't make it. So I think I'll go back with that to the party to make sure during next president elections, the safe seats we feel UDP can easily win, women are nominated to this seat. So this is one thing I've learned from this conference and would take it back to the executive. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ceesay, your party leader is the president.
Yes.
In 2017, before his second term, we had more or less few more women in cabinet, including a vice president. We had a speaker, and also we had the possibility of appointing or nominating 5 members to correct some of this inequality. I just want to, and also, to make the cabinet more balanced, I just want to maybe sound to you and see, why is it that we still, despite the rhetoric, despite the commitments, why is it that we don't have a cabinet that is representative? Why is it that the parliament, the president didn't choose women for speaker, deputy speaker, and 3 others? Why is it also that we don't have a cabinet? Why he removed the vice president that was traditionally, a woman for almost 2 decades? Why is it that? So just to throw a little ball on you, and also to see this is the concern of Gambians, so maybe you can help us to analyze why is it that the president is not that gender sensitive, if I may say so.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. It's like you've made a judgment already. Let's try to get a judgment from you so that you may understand a bit more. You said traditionally we have female vice presidents. Some of us are old enough to talk about the PPP, and if I'm right, there are many in this hall who would agree with me. Sadao never had a woman vice president. If that's right, you're talking about tradition here. Yes, I mean, of course, we had the Second Republic when Yahya Jammeh had a woman vice president. Yes, 2017, we had a woman vice president on 2 occasions. We had Madam Fatoumata Jallow Tambadjan, Dr. Essa Touré, and then we had the mayor as a vice president. The Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia gives the President an executive position as the President. He chooses who he trusts. It's about trust. It's about who you believe in. And I think I won't sit here to make judgment as to why he chose a male as a Vice President. I think that's his judgment. But it is also important to understand that the Barrow-led coalition, the Grand Coalition of NPP, in 2023 in the local government election, MPP and our ally parties have fielded more female candidates than any other party in this country. And that's on record. The IEC can prove that. For cabinet, we have seen for the first time in the history in this country, from First Republic to the Second Republic, where the Ministry of Women is always a second-hand sort of thing. It's always hooked to a ministry. President Barrow has created that ministry. And I think that is all very positive in the right direction. As a party, we strongly believe that women are partners in development. Fundamentally, what we need to understand, Madam Moderator, when you raise the issue why women are not being elected in office, why is it a challenge for them putting themselves up as candidates, we must take stock of our historical challenges, religious challenges, cultural challenges. These are the challenges that we face. And I'm challenging women. They are the ones who fought themselves, each other, more than even men. If you put Madam Kumba, Jaiteh, for example, as a candidate in Dibakunda, there are more women coming on platform, castigating her, personally attacking her than men. And these are facts. So women must be in solidarity and...
Yeah, I think we hear you loud. You talk about trust. You talk about also that you probably in local government, put it so you trust women in local government. We have 23 ministers, I think, and 3 are women. So we also want to put that on record. Today we will be talking about action. And you mentioned that in your revised constitutional manifesto, you will be including quota. And we are hoping that some of these issues that you raised and you mentioned will be included. And when you talk about trust, it's something that is very important with Tuxla. When we talk about also the fact that women are not coming forward, I think that was discussed. I believe that women are quite present in the political sphere and they are supporting men, including the president. But we'll come to the other issues in the chat now.
I just want to conclude on this word about women.
Yeah, we'll come to that, but I think that we already debated. But what we want you really also to tell us how you're going to, what are the corrective measures to ensure that we get more women. We'll come to the point that you mentioned. I think you exceeded your 2 minutes, but I'll give you the floor later. Honorable Faal, we heard about the obstacles, religious challenges, religious, cultural, I think we're able to be hearing that. So concretely, what are we going to do to ensure that women are represented in the party? And also, how do we overcome these challenges going forward? I don't think that we can continue to raise that as a
Thank you very much for giving me the floor. I thought the question really was about how to ensure that we have more female representation, especially in the parliament and also in government. I think apart from advocacy and provision of finance and all that, we can do well in legislation to help the government forward. What do I mean? If we create, say, new constituencies for parliament, say for instance, we say we would elect regional women representatives. For every region, you elect a regional representative. So that would be a competition between women, and at the end of the day, a woman would be elected. That boosts the numbers. So instantly, you would have 8 more members of parliament who are females. That would automatically increase the women participation in parliament. We can do the same also for local government authorities. We can have women representatives for wards. That would boost women's participation. I think through legislation, we can do a lot really to enhance women participation in politics. But we should also, through legislation, address the other impediments. Take, for instance, this new election bill that's been put before the president. That is an impediment to women participation in politics. If we already agree that finance is a problem that impedes women participation, what did we do in the election bill? We increased massively the cost of participation. Now I think it is $150,000 deposit for a person to participate in parliamentary elections. It's been raised from $15,000 to $150,000 for a person to participate in presidential elections, from $10,000 to $1 million. If we say that finance or cost is an impediment for women participation, by increasing this, we are in fact saying we are alienating the women. If the argument initially is correct, it therefore means the effect is that we alienating women. We must do things through legislation to eliminate all these impediments. In fact, one could consider making it zero deposit for women. That way, women can participate without having to cover.
Thank you, Honorable. You mentioned legislation, which is very important as a way of correcting some of the imbalances. I think since yesterday we were talking about the amendment bill that is being proposed by the Gender Committee, spearheaded by Mbye. And we will come to that, as especially for those in Parliament, to see how we can support. But I believe that the legislative framework is important. And I think this bill adequately talks about the reserve states, which I think is kind of resonates with what you were saying. So I will now give the floor to the representative of GDC to tell us how they can work with all of us, but also work within their party to ensure that the next cycle we have more women in parliament, in local government, but also in executive. We know that you are revising your constitution, as you mentioned. We would like to know what concrete action would you take. We talk about safe seats. That is very important. Where you know, for example, that the party has enough support, it's his stronghold. Is it a possibility to put in women? Is it also possible also to increase the financing to support women candidates to ensure that we have more women in the pipeline? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Stenwell, for giving me the floor. I just want to clarify an issue before we go to safe seats. That is, I mentioned earlier that women gender parity or women involvement in political participation or representation, as far as GDC is concerned, is embedded in our code of conduct. I just want to, because I mean, your synopsis, that's what you have said, which I said, but then just to also inform you that it's included in our constitution, because Article 21(4) of our constitution is also, I mean, it's a provision for the code of conduct, you know, I mean, identifying women's participation in politics and their representation as far as the GDC is concerned. That's what I just wanted to clarify. That since women, I mean, constitute 57% of the voter population in this country, then I feel it's really fair for us to work with them, you know, I mean, in equal terms as men and women, equality in political participation. This is why we consider it necessary to include them and to work hand in hand with them. Well, as far as the safe seats are concerned, I think that is up to the executive to use their prerogatives to see how best they can manage or they can select or elect women to put them in safe seats. Thank you.
You are in the executive.
Yes, I mean,
so you are part of the decision making.
I am not saying the executive of the GDC, but the national executive. That is the executive of this country. But when it comes to the executive of the GDC, we have that consideration aforethought before coming to this conference. Because I am even, I mean, accompanied into this conference by the National Women Mobilizer of the GDC, showing you that we put women at the end of, you know, decision making in the GDC party.
Because this second day of the conference, you want more commitment and, you know, more accountability part. What I'm trying to get, you are part of the executive.
That's right.
Yes, so we're talking about the executive of your party. Will your executive consider, you know, safe seats for women, given all the barriers that we've already mentioned, you know, hampering or hindering the participation of women or, you know, women being elected? Is it something that is something that you would like to push in your discussion as executive member?
Of course, Dr. Seymour, this is what we have in mind earlier on, bearing in mind that there was a recommendation, I don't know, in Parliament for 30% of women to be put in the, I mean, political spectrum, which was, I think, thrown out by members of the National Assembly. I think that was the 5th legislature, which Mbye was trying to push. But it didn't go well, it was not successful. But the GDC, as I tell you, that we are working hand in gloves with women, and the executive is definitely mindful, because they are part of our executive. Women forms part of our executive. Our director of Women Affairs is part of the executive. The National Women Mobilizer is part of the executive. You know, and other areas that I cannot just mention, but we are working with them hand in hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me now move to
Thank you very much for this opportunity again. Well, I think for women participation, well, parties have a role to play, but I think the national, the legislature also has a role to play. I would agree with Mr. Faal that it has to be legislated, because if we have it in our parties, sometimes we may not act upon it. But if it's legislated, then if you don't act upon it, the IEC has the right to penalize you for that. You know, you can send, if you send less than 30%, if that is the legislation, and you fail to send less than 30%, the IEC can even, reject your nomination. And I don't think any party will want that to happen. So you'll be forced to actually, abide by that law, in any way. So in your selection, you'll be very mindful of the percentage to send to the IEC so that it won't be rejected. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me give on this specific one to Honorable Halifa Sallah.
Well, there are two elements to it. The intra-party element and also the national element. The intra-party element requires the definition of what party politics is all about. The Elections Act says that a party must promote the political will of a people, must explain its programs to address all national issues, must put up candidates. So we must be able to give civic education to our women members so that they prepare themselves for candidature. That's fundamental. And we can do so in collaboration, because not only bring about change, but change that delivers. And many women are brilliant, they have capacity. All you need is training or recognition of their capacity. Intra-party, it is required that we reform our systems, just like we are reforming our systems, so that in all positions of representation you have gender parity. And a party that does that should be recognized as an example. We are here to learn from each other. It's not to indict each other. And each person here should learn something from the other. And what is indispensable is to ensure gender parity in decision making within parties. That we are striving to do, and that I'm sure all parties must strive to do in order to ensure that what the Constitution calls for, but fails to define, that is fairness in representation of women under Section 214, will actually be actualized intra-party. If you can remember, in the 5th legislature, we passed a bill. Honorable Tanderu initiated it in order to augment the authority that was already in the Women's Act, for having special measures to ensure that all forms of discrimination against women are eradicated. And that bill, which we passed, is now law, which says that you have to have 30% representation in political and public office for women. And in terms of educational programs, it should be 50-50 and all other programs. That particular law is lying there. Who is implementing it? So you need that monitoring device with the NGOs, with political parties, with the inter-party committee that looks at these laws which aim to get women to participate. The issue is not just equality in its formal sense. It is service, serving a country, people who have capacity to serve a country. So therefore, from that angle, yes, I'm going too far. Thank you.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I thank you for the reminder. Yesterday we mentioned the issue of implementation. There are so many good laws, imperfect in some areas, but overall the political will was there. We let we use advanced women's rights. You know, we talked about the Women's Act, you mentioned anti-discrimination law, and I think also importantly, we mentioned yesterday, and I think thank you for reiterating the civic education in terms of the parties themselves and also as a country. Before I go to the last segment, which is very important in terms of discrimination, but also what is happening online, deterring women from really involving in politics, I want to open the floor maybe for 10 minutes to get reaction from the participants. I want to give the floor to Honorable Mbye first for 1.5 minutes, just to tell us where they are with the Women's Act, and then we will talk about it later as a way of concluding. And the last segment will be talking about all the issues of harassment, you know, within the parties, but also externally to see how we can deal with that to ensure that women, you know, get more into the space. So I'll give the floor to the audience, please. If you want to speak, make it brief so that we get as much as people, you know, intervening. So to my partner, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Good morning, everybody. I would like to applaud all the party leaders present here, and to thank you all and for recognizing the importance of women's participation in politics. I was a former National Assembly member, and I have been an advocate for women issues all along. I have listened to all of you, and I've learned a lot from all of you today. But there is one thing I would like to assure all political party leaders present here or not, that yes, legislation is good, because when you put something into law, it becomes stronger. But I would like to inform all of you that now the scenario is changing. There are 3 key words that I want everybody to take home. Women are going to sensitize each other. We are going to form solidarity, and we are going to rise in emancipation of women. We, the ones that have been in politics with some of you all along, will mentor the new ones coming up, and we will get to the grassroots, and we will sensitize them about their rights for voting for each and every one of you. Because I have learned, and I am of the belief, that most Gambians, especially women, are not aware of why they should vote, who they should vote for. The only thing most people know is we belong to the same party. That is going to change. We are going to go and change the mindset of the voters. And we are going to sensitize each other and make each other aware of our political and constitutional rights. Thank you.
We took 1 minute of Mr. Jan. Mr. Jan, you only have 1 minute.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Equally, I would want to appreciate, acknowledge, and thank the panelists, especially the party leaders, who've not just shown their presence, but telling women that they really care and they're sharing in whatever agenda and motive that gathers us here today. I want to reiterate that as political parties, we don't need laws to force us to do the needful. Legislation is important, yes, but we're answerable to the people. And in most cases, it is the women that elect us into office. I would say, let's borrow from the PDOIS, the ideology of system change. Internally, parties need to do a system change. If it is not embedded in our constitutions and manifestos, we can always revise, review, and make adjustments. But equally, we can do or create code of conducts whereby we empower women, and whatever we're fighting for will raise or rise above that. But just to conclude, as I have 1 minute, I want to encourage the women. If their needs are not met, let them turn into revolutionaries, fight for their rights, claim it, and do their Thank you.
I'd like now to give the floor to Imam. Thank you, Imam, for coming, and greetings. Imam, you have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this important conference, International Idea and the partners. And also, I would like to thank the political leaders for their presence here. I always feel happy when I see them together, because they show the national unity. So that's very, very important. Okay, for women participation, I have a few comments. Also, the first one is about as the Honorable said, the women participation is based on the trust. And the trust always has relation to quality. And the political leaders look for quality and get that trust, then they select women. And the voters also. So whenever you are selecting somebody, you expect that the community will accept that person. I think that one is good. But Alhamdulillah, maybe the way I see it, women has achieved a lot, because in our educational institution now, women are dominating. Even in our Islamic sector, we have more girls in the madrasa and also the target institution. So I think we cannot get there just one day, but I think we are in the right track. But about the cultural barriers, religious barriers, I think sometimes we confuse between the religion and the culture. So I think if it's religious barriers, I think we need to discuss with the scholars. Sometimes you may see it as barrier while it's not, because the problem is your understanding. So I think it's important for us to, discuss with the religious leaders about those barriers, because religion, well, if it is a religious, then we need to understand, because religion it's not for change. We are not here to change our religion. So something that cannot be changed, I think we need to discuss for us to understand. We don't believe any religious barrier for women participation. That's our belief. But we need to discuss and then understand each other. So I think sometimes this misconception about religion, that also form a barrier for women participation. Because if you see that the culture or religion is a problem, the community that is practicing that culture, you will lose their confidence. Now, it will be difficult for you to get their confidence, and sometimes even if you want to participate, they may not accept you. So I think there should be a dialogue. Try to understand what is the religious barrier, and also the culture. The culture is very, very important, because if you don't believe in some of our cultures, you will not have a good relationship with the community. Then the community will be there and will be there. So you will lose their confidence. Sometimes they will not even never see you until when it's a political time. So that's why it is important for all us to see that this is our culture. Let's try to improve our lives through our culture. For us, the religion is not a barrier for women participation, but the way we deal with things, that's the barrier itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Imam, to exchange, but we can continue the conversation later.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Good morning, everybody. And I really like to applaud the political party leaders. It's very interesting. I think most people have said what I wanted to say, especially my auntie Duta. So, working on those 3 points that she raised, I just want to add one thing. The biggest thing I think we are missing is finance, political finance, election finance. We do know that right now the cost of running has gone up very high, and most political parties, we do know that they don't nominate women for these very attractive constituents. Because for one thing, they are afraid they will lose the money that they have put in. So I think we need to look at how to raise funds for women to be able to participate in politics. If it is a law that we will put in that a woman that runs for office will have a percentage given to her to help her run, because we notice that most of the women also, they have to go independent because political parties might not take them in these constituents that they want to go to. That's one. The other one is we need to look at the cyberbullying. We are talking about that.
That would be the last angle. Yeah, thank you. Rebecca, 1 minute, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ma. I want to applaud the presence of the political leaders. Really, nothing for us without us, and you are here for us. So we thank you for that. Maybe what I wanted to say, most of my colleagues have talked about it. But the only thing I want to say here is that we should be realistic as women. The moment we are talking, telling our fellow men to embrace us, is true. They should embrace us. And we need all those things that we are talking about, legislature and the political parties come up with what they should come up. But for us, we know that we vote for men to win. Why can't we vote for ourselves? And we are more. Thank you. I'll come back.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We need to talk about an issue that is affecting women in general, women politicians in particular, what is happening on the cyber world. We all know the digital world is important for politics, for exchanges, and it is an enabler in terms of amplifying voices, in terms of ensuring that we get across our messages, meeting. But at the same time, it presents a lot of challenges, more and more. And we're seeing people using also this space to extend the offline harassment that are meted on women to online. This is dangerous. Why? Because the magnitude of the online world and how, information can spread easily, but also the mark that it can leave individual mark. So more and more across the world, politicians, courts are making important moves really to criminalize some of these harassment. Either it is revenge porn, either it is body shaming. There's so many. Kumba mentioned a lot yesterday, and the women politicians who were in the panelists, they talked about the harassment, inboxing them consistently with insult to families, creating WhatsApp group where they force you, they put your number in WhatsApp group just, to harass you. So I think all those things are happening in the country. and we need the political parties' intervention and zero tolerance to some of those practices. We all know that we just concluded 16 days activism, and the theme of the year was online, harassment. Is also another form of violence against women, and women politicians across Africa are suffering quite a lot across the board. Recently, a Kenyan court had made a very important decision on harassing women online. So we believe that we need to bring that to the fore so that our political parties will be aware of, but also will take measures so that as we go into the next cycle of election, so that the space could be regulated, could be governed, so that more women can be safe to express themselves, to participate without being harassed and bullied online. I will start with Ceesay, just to get your perspective in 1 minute and to also see what your party will be doing about some of these issues that are really a big trend in the country.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. As far as the National People's Party is concerned, it has been our mantra from the party leader to the last member of the party to continue talking about let's live peacefully, let's stop the harassment, and actually to stand up against it. This is something that is happening. But again, it is also important. Yes, as a women forum we're here, we want to accommodate women and give women everything that they are asking for. But this is not unique for women. Everyone sitting here who has ever contested election in this country has been castigated. Not only women. And I believe more men have been castigated on platforms than women. I can take an example of myself. Before I applied for the Brikama Area Council, few people knew about me. They see me as a very decent person. When I put my hand out as a candidate for Brikama Area Council, I had all sorts of names. There are people who were out there calling me a gay. Calling me gay. Yes, a homosexual. So these are serious things that we need to look at. But again, we have the foundation here. The inter-party committee is here. What should they do to work with other political parties? They are political parties. To make sure we stamp out this harassment, bullying online. And we know those who do it. Women are doing it to themselves. If a woman candidate is sitting somewhere in Kumba or wherever, he's been insulted by a woman who sits somewhere else. It's not men attacking women, it's women attacking themselves. Thank you.
Jaiteh, what is the UDP doing in terms of ensuring that we have zero tolerance of online bullying and harassment of women?
Thank you very much, Madam. Before I come to that, I would just like to plead with the organization of this conference, excuse my voice, to maybe extend the time for this discussion so that we can have resolutions. We take opportunity of this because this is very rare. So we can have resolutions on the way forward regarding what we should do for women to increase women participation. So please consider that while we go ahead. I think it's very necessary. Let's not miss this opportunity. On the second issue I would like to address before your question, and that goes to IEC. You know, between UDP and MPP, we need clarity. They are claiming that they nominated more women than any other political party. I would like the results. May you consider that as we go ahead, so that we can know exactly who's trying, who's doing better. On the other issue, and I'll pick that up from what Honorable Sallah and Honorable Essa Faal has stated regarding the laws and regarding accountability. This is very important, and I don't want us to miss that opportunity. There is already a law in the Women's Act, as stated, that requires 30%. The executive have the power to make this happen automatically by electing 30% of cabinet. And they are the duty bearers of the law. And I think NPP should, Mr. Seedy should take this back
to His Excellency so they can have this discussion. It will be hard to implement that in Parliament at the moment, but I think this law could be implemented at the level of the executive, or maybe I should test Barrow again and take him to court and ask why not implement this law. And maybe we can have a constitutional interpretation, because it's a gray area, because the Constitution gives him power to appoint anyone he likes, but there is another law stating appoint 30%. So maybe someone should test the law. Maybe Tuma can take the baton to stand around.
Thank you. Thank you.
On the issue of discrimination against women or digital violence, I've suffered this personally. And I know it happens to everyone, like Ceedy said, but with women, I think it's a little bit more sensitive. When you have, I mentioned this earlier, that there were images of myself almost naked from the top on the internet everywhere. And these are very sensitive issues, and I think it should be an effort of all the political parties to at least have it in their code of conduct. When you have people outside, your party members doing this to other political party members, I think there should be a law to expel these people that are responsible for these issues. And we have a code of conduct, I was just reading it, but I don't, the United Democratic Party has a code of conduct dealing with a lot of things, but I think we missed out on this particular one, and I'll take it on board. Thank you.
Wonderful. GDC.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. I think the previous speakers have said it all. But as I mentioned earlier, that our code of conduct covers what you have just said. I mean, especially when it comes to harassment and discrimination. In fact, I could say that we have some cases in point where, I mean, local lady councillor elections were held in several constituencies nationwide, and then I would say there was discrimination, resulting from women themselves. And then there was no level playing field that would encourage the participation of women in politics or representation. I mean, that led to, a special case. And one of the aspirants has to write, and then we took it upon ourselves as a party to forward that letter to most of the authorities concerned for interest. But then there was no outcome. So I think one of these things would definitely encourage, women discrimination or harassment or, hate speech or digital, what they call in all this political landscape. So I think a party like the GDC, we have it embedded, as I said, in our code of conduct, and it's also enshrined in our constitution, according to Article 21(4) of our constitution. Thank you very much.
Honorable Essa.
Thank you very much. I would want to second the proposal by Honorable Jaiteh to extend the time for the discussion, especially on the first topic, because I do believe that there are a few issues that we may need to discuss. I have listed quite a number of what I think would be solutions to this problem, and I think perhaps maybe this discussion would be helpful. But with regards to the issue of the law and how the executive has applied it, I just want to intimate that if you have a legal directive without any sanctions, it is a legislative hollow gesture, because at the end of the day, there is no sanction. So the executive would do what it wants. I think maybe that is something we have to look into. But on the issue of cyberbullying, I just wish to say that it's not an issue that is unique to women. The biggest concern, perhaps, is the children or the underage. That is not to minimize the impact it will have on our women folk. But I think it's a bigger social problem that needs a national approach to be addressed completely for everybody, not just the women, but including the children as well. For us as a party, we have a code of conduct that had been published, APP Sobeyaa, I think everybody knows it. And we have regular meetings with our online warriors, our TikTokers, and to just bring them in line to make sure that they always comply with our code of conduct. And we have had one of our TikTokers who was involved in a lot of insults and so forth, and we made sure that that person's been removed from our TikTok group. Unlike some organizations or parties that just recruit people purposely to insult other people. I have been a victim. I think someday, and I would be blunt, I would call the spade a spade. I would call out the NPP, the ruling party. They have people who are dedicated purposely to be insulting Essa Faal on a daily basis. Immediately after Father Bremer's, some article is posted insulting Essa Faal. Instead of addressing the issues that I raise, they attack me personally. You have labeled me vulture. Every day you issue statements and, I mean, look, I'm not affected by this nonsense because I do believe that Gambians are much bigger than this. But we must stop this. Every day you attack a person, call the person names, insult the person's mother, insult the person's father. That does not help our politics. It does not improve Gambia. It does not develop Gambia. We had an opportunity in Parliament to address this. What did they do? They limited the amendments to the law just to the president. Is that fair? Is the president the only person in this country whose dignity deserves to be protected? I think everybody else's dignity deserves to be protected. So I think political parties, including the ruling party, must respect each other. We must respect each other and treat each other with dignity. That is all we ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Faal.
Yeah, I think, in my view, I don't think political parties are doing much, only talking. We all condemn what is happening, the criticism, but then what are we doing in reality? We will condemn publicly, and our own party members are doing it. So that means we are condoning, we are accepting it. So I think there needs to be a mechanism to regulate, to stop this. If a party member, insults or defames someone, there should be a punishment for that for the party. If the party, that guy is a party executive member, I think in that case we will try to control our executives as to what to say and what to do. Otherwise, it will just be free to say whatever we want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Sallah.
The picture is bigger than we are making it. Make a whole movement to have a woman president. I hope the person will not be like my sister in Liberia. You become a one-term, two-term president, and the woman will vacate the decision-making positions. That's not the objective. The objective is to build a foundation of thinkers, innovators, and builders of a nation. People who do not only speak for women, they speak for the whole nation, for the world, to show that they are capable of leading, to give us liberty, dignity, and prosperity. That's what we are looking for. You can go into all this situation and push women to have more women in the National Assembly, etc. Let me just give you an example. In 2011, we were looking for a presidential candidate to build a coalition. I personally went to a woman, prominent woman, to encourage her, to tell her, I'm not going to be standing, but come to our convention. We will support you. the woman did not agree. I'm sure she is hearing me today. Many women will not agree because of the system. It's a system based on patronage. You have to resign from your job, 1 year salary, to stand for election. Who will sacrifice that? You have to spend money in the tens of thousands. People will come for you to feed them. And where will you get the money? And when you lose, what happens? And you also lose your deposit. If you say the deposit is 1 million, you know, if you don't win, you lose your deposit. You are going to lose 1 million. It's gambling. So, what I'm saying is, don't be worried about me that I'm emotional. You know I'm not emotional. But I'm concerned about you. It's not about me anymore. We need to have a national conversation, longer national conversation on the problem itself before we look for a solution. Otherwise, we're going to have haphazard solutions. And that's not the solution. It will just create more problems for you. You've gone to a certain level. Let's have a national conversation to see how to move forward. Small scale, medium, and long term. We need concrete planning to address the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sallah. I think we're running really out of time, but it was an interesting panel, and we needed to give a little bit more representative to share a little bit more. I want to really thank you all, Ceesay from the NPP, Kumba Jaiteh from the UDP, Mboob from GDC, Sobeyaa, Seedy from NUP, Honorable Sallah from PDOIS. It was an interesting conversation. We will continue. I took note of a lot of things we would like. I will not attempt to summarize, but maybe a few takeaways. We need to be deliberate and ensure that we have a legislative framework that will ensure, given all the obstacles we mentioned, I think if we leave it to party leaders, to society, it will be very difficult for women to be represented. All the countries across the world, especially in Africa, that have made significant improvement in terms of women representation have somehow a law or policy that will enable women to really be part of the decision-making process. So we need to push. And I believe that all the political parties represented here, what we've heard is that they are all in support of women representation. Having said that, we have a bill prepared by the committee. We have some of the parties here, at least the majority is MPP, UDP is there, PDOIS, Parliament. So we believe that it will be smooth sail. So because they are all committed here to supporting, we have a case in point, we have a legislation on the table, and we believe that you will support it to ensure that we move ahead. The other part that I also retain is that we need more dialogue from Imam, from Honorable Halifa. We really need in this country to continue the conversation from the local to the national, and it has to be, a continuous thing. We should not be just dialogue in the conference hall. We continue the dialogue to understand each other, to understand the obstacles, to understand the culture, the cultural barrier, but to understand each other. Sometimes in this country, I feel that people don't understand each other for many reasons, because of the background, because of so many prejudices. People don't seem to understand each other. So we need to break that barrier so that we can build a nation that is inclusive, a nation that also sees women as, a priority. We also really need to be deliberate in terms of this issue of cyber online harassment. It is affecting families. It is affecting the moral of people. The CDC mentioned, Essa, they all talked about they don't care. We do care. When they affect, every time that you open, internet, you see your name, castigated, things that are not true, fabricated, misinforming people about you. No matter how strong you are, it affects you, and also it affects your family. And for the women, we're talking about women here. We know that it affects every politician. But for women, it's also more difficult because society also has some pressure on women. And the more you are harassed, the more you are exposed, generally your family, your people will always tell you, maybe you should quit, you should leave politics. We've seen it with Rohimarigo, we've seen it with Honorable Tumanja, we've seen it with Kumba, we've seen it with so many other women. And even the seniors at the Famata is there, Essa, we've seen it. I've witnessed, situation where women were unjustly treated online and their contribution minimized. And that is not the same way men are treated. And we've documented some of these things, and we believe that is also hindering women's participation. Just to say, yes, we need to continue the conversation. There are so many studies that have been conducted on these issues. Recently, the Westminster Foundation conducted a study on the cost of politics. It was mentioned by Faal. We need to examine all those issues that are hampering our participation and address them in a holistic manner. Jaiteh is approaching. When I see her, I know that our time is up. But I just want to give maybe 1 minute to Auntie Famata, just to greet us, and also she was absent yesterday to say 1 or 2 things in 2 minutes. Auntie.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Moderator, distinguished panelists, participants, and ITA. I'm really honored and very happy to be part of this conversation. Apologies, I wasn't feeling well yesterday, so I thought I will not disappoint myself first by not participating in such an important forum, and also disappointing ITA that really not only reached out with emails or mails, but also had some direct conversation with me on this point. It's always difficult when you come late. I'm sure that so many issues have been covered, but perhaps I would just want to share for me really some of the issues of concern to me. First, I will start with religion. I'm happy that I came when Imam was speaking on the religious aspect of women in politics. In fact, I think that women don't know much about their religion, so sometimes they are left behind simply because they don't have the capacity to really engage in conversation to convince people to be represented in politics. We have in the Holy Quran, with the little knowledge that I have, we have 3 surahs in the Holy Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, which is talking about equality. We have Surah Al-Nisa, which is mainly confined to women, and we have Surah Al-Maryam. So we definitely need to, I want to encourage my fellow women, not that I'm knowledgeable in the religion, but also just to encourage them to really know their religion. The issue of participation is the responsibility of government, because the Constitution, which is the bedrock that governs our lives, should have been adopted by now. The Coalition 2016 adopted the agenda. One of the reform agenda was constitutional reform, which includes 30% voting system for women. But up till now, the government is really lagging behind on that issue, and I would like to urge and re-urge that Ceedy Ceesay, my son, who is there representing NPP, to really continue knocking at the door of NPP so that we can have the Constitution. Without the Constitution, political parties would find it difficult to legislate. The legislation is the responsibility of the National Assembly, but it has to come from government. So I think we need to look at that. In terms of cyber, of course I do agree that both men and women suffer, but the women suffer more, just as the able chairperson moderator has stated. What I would like to also say that the Electoral Act is there, And the Electoral Act, IEC has conducted some sessions on the issue of violence against women, violence against all political interests. And I think that we need to do, just as my son, Essa says, I have so many sons. I think Sobeyaa Halifa, who is my brother here. But I think we need to have the Electoral Act also to ensure that the legislation on the violence, cyber violence or cyber bullying is eliminated. I see my sister, my daughter, Patrick saying that the time is up. Yes. I do hope that the rest of the issues that I have, I will share during the course of the rest of the event. So, IDA, thank you so much. I can see a difference in women in leadership. I applaud your leadership, and I will continue to support you in any way I can. Thank you so much.
And just one last thing, we continue the dialogue, we continue to construct, and we continue to work together so that we can develop a better nation. Thank you all.
The moderator, I want to recognize my daughter, Kumba. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator, and thank you to our panelists. If you could please just stand for a group photo. Whilst that is happening, just a few comments. Thank you to Honorable Tamajan as well for joining us this morning, and also recognize the presence of the IEC chairman as well. There's a lot of things that we will unpick from this conversation. We apologize that we are unable to extend the time, but as you know, we have other panels that are lined up that we need to have. But we will take it forward. We will take it forward and make sure that we extend or provide longer time for our politicians when they come to address us. We will take the break now. Before that, we encourage all of you to stay. Don't go. We have so many panels that are upcoming. We will have the parallel panels immediately after the break. And that parallel panel, we have one panel that is going to be talking about tackling hate speech and violence against women in the digital era, which has popped up in this conversation. That panel will be taking place here, whilst we have the other panel on women's capacity building, grassroots mobilization and campaign financing that will be happening in one of the thematic rooms outside. And then